Time to bleed.
I always forget about time to bleed.
That's the best one. That's my favourite one when it's like, oh, I won't say it, but it's pretty funny. Shout out to Monsters. Shout out to
Ronnie Coleman.
Shout out to Ronnie Coleman, but shout out to me for picking up some Monsters and saving Josh's life.
Fucking weapon. I don't think I would have called it quits if I didn't fucking have a monster.
Yeah, you ever get any backlash from people on energy drinks?
Yeah.
All the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. My mum sent me a reel the other day, and I was like, I'm not watching that. It was like about how bad energy drinks are and shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get it, but like I could be out doing worse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I get it, but I just don't want to look at it.
If like I've said it before, if people can go out on weekends and bang fucking coke,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, 100%.
a couple of months isn't gonna hurt. Like, it's funny. I posted a reel, fucking the other day, and it was like, artificial sweeteners hate to see me coming, and it was just my fucking fridge that's like full of White Monsters or it was full of White Monsters and Pepsi. And then I got a comment under that video, and I was like, no, dude, fuck this shit. This shit killed my uncle. I was like, I can see the pain, but like at the same time, I think your uncle might have been doing other things that were probably not the best thing for him. So yeah.
Or had an underlying
issue, which again is just like your uncle had other things going on.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, how's your week been, big dog?
Good, man.
Good.
We need now that we've got this little setup, we need
better mics.
Not even a better mic. We just need a mic each.
Yeah.
So we can. My week, yeah, it's actually going all right. Training's been pretty good in the sense that like starting to get a little bit of relief in the hip and groin. Well, I've done 3. When I saw you last week, I'd just seen the guy that sort of like figured out what it is and was like, let's do this approach, and I was like, yep, sweet. And then I said, what about like if I want to compete? Yeah. And he's like, okay, well, like we'll still approach it the same way, but we're gonna have to like add some injections and shit. So he's doing glucose injections, which everyone I've spoken to is like, glucose, really? Like, like what is that for? Like, never heard of it, blah 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 blah. I was like, yeah, fair enough. I'd never heard of it either. So he kind of explained to me like the glucose straight into that area just it basically creates an inflammatory response. And then the white blood cells basically have to work, or like they sort of work harder to produce more collagen. And then it like basically just speeds up recovery process from that. So there's no, like, you're not injecting anything that's the actual fix. It just creates a response for your body to do it quicker, so it tries to heal itself quicker, which is kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, cool. Like at the end of the day, this guy that I go and see, like he's fixed heaps of my injuries before, so I wasn't like skeptical in the sense that like I'm like, you fix so much of my shit. I trust that you'll fix this. So just like fix me. So and literally I've had a couple of sessions, only 2 sessions with the in glucose injection, and feeling like pretty good. Like there's obviously still like stiffness and shit because we do like dry needling and stuff too. But in terms of the hope of being at the start line in like just over 2 weeks, I'm pretty confident that I'll at least make the start line. Don't know how I'll perform, but I'm pretty confident in that. Like I feel good, so happy with that. So yeah, training's just like nowhere near as intense as it was like months ago when I was fucking hitting heavy lifts and shit. So nothing heavy. It's literally just like body weight step ups, trying to get a little bit of speed in those step ups, and then now it's just trying to create ways to like do some lactic threshold work and some fast twitch work without having to run, which is like kind of cool because I have to like play around with it a bit. So just like, air bike sprints, just some like quick like hamstring kick stuff just to try and stimulate the areas so that when I do, even if I do make the start line, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I need to be like able to perform as well. So it's like at least like trying to get something done that will help me that way. So yeah, it's kind of cool just playing around with training at the moment, and then upper body's just like having a bit of fun and staying fit. So, but yeah, that's good. Other than that, man, fucking working, sleeping. So it's been good. What about you, man? What's happening?
Yeah, Not much, man. Training, usual. Fucking work. Barely sleeping. Classic. Yeah, it's funny, like, I was just thinking about it then when you were explaining that, like, so many people, nowadays it's the easy thing, it's like the in thing to, like, shit on sport-specific training.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's well and good to shit on sport-specific training, like, oh yeah, bro, just do more of your sport until you've got an injury and you can't do the sport because you've got a competition in 2 weeks, and if you try and practice, you're going to fuck yourself up more. Yeah. It's like interesting to see, like, oh, that's the clear application of that, you know?
Yeah. And like, sorry, just to like point out that like 100%, like, and obviously like training your actual sport is going to be more beneficial, but there's got to be ways, you've got to have like a plan B.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty good in finding some of those ways to kind of do that. Like you said, sport, it is kind of like shit on a bit. It's just like, do the simple this, do that. And it's like, yeah, cool. But like, in terms of, for someone like myself who's been doing sprinting for a while, like I know that I can get to the start line and my movement pattern's still going to be fine. Like it's like riding a bike. Like you just, unless you're new to the actual sport and you need to learn, you know, the knee lift, the front side mechanic, all the movement pattern stuff, right? The only thing I'm a bit nervous about is like, well, it's not even that. Like I've done it a few times and I'm not a great starter anyway, but I haven't done any block work. So any like explosive off the start work. But at the end of the day, I know what to do. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I might not perform at my best, but this is like the best of a worst situation, right? So I'm like, at least I can get to the start line, know that I'm like prepared to a point that I can be prepared. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. And like I said, like if you need to learn the actual movement pattern of running, then you're probably behind the 8 ball. But it's like, if this was fully fit tomorrow and I went and ran, my movement pattern would be fine. Like, because I've done it that much. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, sick. Yeah. It's one of those things like you kind of hear, it's like some of the strong guys and like fucking strength athletes and stuff talking about going into like powerlifting meets or strongman meets with injuries, and they're kind of just like, they train around it leading up to it, but it's like they're not going to avoid the lift in competition because there's only a finite number of lifts there anyways. And so it's like, if you're lucky, it's the last lift and you can just fucking Valhalla, go out with a fiery fucking PB and then break both your fucking patella tendons or something. And then like most guys, that injury happens and they're like, cool, it was worth it. I got to the meet, I did the meet. Yeah. Sweet. Obviously a different story if it's the first movement. They're usually like, yeah, that was dumb as fuck, I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, it's cool to see like how to work, like you working around this injury, like, and leading into competition as well, which is sick.
It helps being a coach, being able to like, you know, like
handle the self-talk. Handle the self-talk and stuff.
Yeah, but like even, you know, like I know what to do, like I know what movement patterns to try and find to stimulate the areas that I'm looking for. So like it kind of helps being in the industry because I can play around with it and sort of guinea pig myself with different things as well. And again, like with the comp thing, like even if it is the first race, like all of my races are separate races, right? So it's like, I know like in a powerlifting, right, you don't want to blow out. If you blow out the first one, it like, because everything goes towards a total. So it's like, at least in my comp, it's like if I make the start line and I hurt myself in the first race, it's like I did what I could do to get there. And it's like, it doesn't change the fact that like, yeah, I might have to pull out of the next race or whatever, but they're all separate races. So it's like, doesn't really matter. And I guess I'm going in with that mindset. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be okay to run, but it's like, we warm up, we see how we feel. We do that first race and it's just like decide from there basically. And I just take like each event as it comes. But yeah, it's fucking cool like to play around with some stuff and fuck man, those bike sprints are shit. And I realized how like, cause I thought it was like a hernia and stuff at a couple of weeks ago. I was like, fuck, like if it's that type of injury. So I just didn't do anything for like a full week or two, which the rest probably did help anyway. And then I'm like, fuck man, so out of condition just from not hitting those same cardio points that I was used to. But yeah, it's interesting. It's cool little fun experiment to sort of like train some different things around the gym, and people looking at me funny.
Yeah.
A couple of people in the gym the other day, like, because I was doing hamstring kicks where you like sit on the box and try and like kick back fast and shit, and people like, looks like you're throwing a tantrum. And I'm just like, it's pretty funny. People like watching the sport specific stuff. But like going back when we just said about powerlifting, I remember. Do you know Matt Bartholomew? He's you would, powerlifter. He, I just follow him on socials and stuff for a while, but it was maybe a couple of years ago, last year or something, when he did a comp, and I don't know what injury he had. He had some sort of issue and he couldn't squat properly. So like a whole prep leading into a comp, he did all his squat work on a leg press, and I think he PB'd his squat or something at the meet. And it's like you just said, like, you know, like lifting the specifics is good, but like there are ways around it if you need to. But yeah.
The guy that I was thinking of then, when I was saying that, is like this guy. His name on Instagram is Stu Kodiak.
Yeah.
His name's Stu Locke, but he's like strong fucking dude. But basically, like, he's a strong dude and a high level coach. But he was going into this meet and he was like, "Damn, this has been like the best prep ever. I'm just still battling the same old niggles as like forever, but nothing's flared up. It's been all really good." And then like the night before competition, he was like, "Fuck, something's gonna go wrong tomorrow. Like I feel like something's gonna go wrong tomorrow." And that competition, I think it was his second warm. No, it was his first. I think it was his opener. Maybe it was his second squat. It was his opener, or second squat, whatever. And then he fucking tore. I think it was his left patella. And then to compensate, he moved on to his right leg and tore his right patella. So
in the same squat.
Double patella tendon tear in the same squat.
Did he get the bar up, or he would have crippled him?
That crippled him. Yeah. They ended up lifting the bar up and racking it, but he was done. And that was leading into the competition. Like, he was super anxious, and he was like, "Yeah, like I knew something was going to happen because like the prep was too easy."
Yeah.
And it was like not too easy as in like everything moved like fucking a feather and it was all super light. It was just like, no, like I just didn't have any injuries, and like leading into it you kind of have this anxious feeling. And then he was like, he's a religious guy, he's like, that was my sign that like it was time to stop competing and just like focus on coaching. So anyways, that's a fucking side tangent and a half. My training's good. off season coming to an end slowly. Training update, as of yesterday, had a call with the boss man, and he was like, "Cool, we've seen some pretty good back growth, so it's time to hammer some arms." And
about time you got some arms.
Arms and adductors, funnily enough.
Well, he's saying we can do adductor training
Yeah,
together.
sick. Yeah.
You'd be a bit heavier than mine though.
Yeah. Arms and adductors. He's like, "Cool, we just need to fill everything out now." And I was like, "Cool, 4 weeks to fill everything out." All right. Challenge accepted. Then 2 weeks out from my mate's IFBB debut. Should be fucking good to go watch that. We'll be able to like follow him around and see how Showdown operates and stuff.
Yeah.
We'll be good to do that. And then I'm off to Melbourne, so to go watch the Nationals, which will be fucking sick. Yeah. Leading into prep, it's going to be, it's funny, like I know it's going to be tough, like I know prep's going to be tough, but I'm also there like, nah, it's going to be a breeze, like, it's going to be a fucking breeze, like.
We were talking about this like last week or whenever, I can't remember what it was, and I was chatting to you just in like random like passing, and we might have been on the potty actually, or it might have been pre or post like filming, and I was like something about your prep, and you were like, "Oh, no, I'll be fine," and I'm like, I think he's been a bit naive. Yeah. Like, like as
I'm
much.
I'm fully aware of it too.
Yeah, you're aware of it, but you're also aware that you're being naive. Like, it's funny as like you're like, "Oh, I'll be fine," and that's what I was saying. Remember, we were talking about like with work and stuff, and I was like, how you sort of like going to be able to schedule. You're like, "Oh, I mean, like, let's hope you don't have to," but you're like, "Nah, like I won't have to like drop any work hours or change this or change that." And again, obviously, hopefully not, but like you don't know how your body's going to react to stuff. Or to like prep and that.
It'll depend,
Yeah. Last time we were talking about a couple of days ago, you said to me that you're trying not to nap.
Yeah.
How's that going?
So, actually decent.
Reasoning behind it?
Reasoning behind it was, I feel like if I nap in the middle of the day, I just end up backloading the same work that I would do then to normal sleep time. And then I'm like getting short sleep hours at night, which I'd rather just to have a nice long sleep at night. And then if I can have a nap on top of that, fucking that's a win. But I just can't do that right now. And so that's the reasoning behind it. And then the other reasoning is like, what do I need a nap for? Like, I fucking love, like I love naps. They feel great. But I'm also like, this is kind of a season where naps have to be, in my mind, like naps have to be for 4-year-olds. It's like, so for this little season, it's like, just grind it out, get through it. I'm sure through prep, I will just be like, nah, fuck this, I'm going to take a nap. Yeah, and just be a little bit more liberal with that. But again, it's just going to be a matter. I think the thing with prep is like, the reason I think it's going to be a breeze is because I know that with like such a tight schedule, it's going to be a matter of like making sure everything's absolutely prepared to a T. And so it's like just making sure that's done. And if that's done, like that's most of the hard work done. And it's, the rest is just suffering, right? Like it's just a bit of hunger, a bit of fucking energy depletion and stuff like that. Like,
I was gonna say, like you hear some people talk about like how hard prep is, and you hear other people talk about how easy it was, yeah. And it's like, and they don't mean that by like, you know, they still have to grind and push through, but they're like, in terms of like the eating, the routine part and preparation, like you're pretty good at that stuff, right? So like, you've been doing that forever. It's just now adjusting the calories, like basically. Yeah. So, like people, I reckon, I don't know, because like there's parts where like when I was younger, I reckon I would find it easy, because I'm just like, as much as I love food, if you tell me like don't touch that, I fucking won't. Yeah. So like I'm pretty good in that sense. Yeah. So like I reckon I was the same. I was like, I reckon I fucking find it easy, but I would also obsess over numbers and shit too much. Yeah. But like, yeah, in terms of just that breezy part, I think like if you're prepared enough, it actually is easy, right? Yeah. You just don't put yourself in situations to be tempted by food, or you also have that mindset of like, you know the outcome, or you know the outcome you want, like for the goal. So it's like you just don't do it. Like simple. Yeah. Like it's like when we talk about in one of the episodes we're talking about like shopping, like at the fucking supermarket, and you're like, I'm like, for me when I go shopping, I'm not tempted because I just don't buy it. Yeah. Like it's, to me it's just so. And I know it's different for everyone. Everyone's like, whatever. But like there is some things that tempt me, but I'm not, like if I'm shopping, I've got a purpose. I know what I'm getting. I always like obviously a few things change like on the list, but like my general shop is like the same shit every single time. Yeah. So nothing like throws me off. Whereas people are like, oh, this aisle, that aisle. I was like, mate, like to me, it's like, just don't do it. Like it's so simple, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like a willpower thing. I think the other thing that like makes me a little bit more hopeful that it will be a good prep is like I have faith in my coach. Like I could send him the worst data in the world, and like if he says it's bad, it's bad, and if he says it's good, it's good. It's like cool. I'm cool with that. Like this week, I think I was down a little bit of weight. And I was like reasoning with myself. I was like, yeah, it's probably just because I was sick the week before or whatever. Drop some water weight, drop some fatigue. And then Kate's check-in, he was just like, yeah, you're probably right there. Let's just make sure like we're hitting everything 100%. No leftovers, nothing. Like, eat all your food. I was like, yeah, cool. And it's like an ability to execute on plan. That's what I sort of pride myself on, is like staying in the plan as much as I can. Yeah, this being off season and a little bit of like last season of business, it's like things are okay to come off plan. Like if it fits somewhat to the plan and I don't have another option, then I'll do that. Like whether it's a shredded chicken fucking packet thing from Woolies with some veg and a rice thing, and it's like, that will do. It's not my macros close to, like it's not exactly my measurements, but like that'll fucking do.
Better than the alternative.
It's better than the alternative, yeah. Yeah, or like a My Muscle Chef instead of my first chicken meal, which is like they're roughly the same calories and they're still high in protein. Not as high, but like it's high.
Yeah.
That'll do. Like it's good enough.
Yeah.
I'm on high enough carbs where protein becomes less of an issue because carbs are protein sparing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, that actually ties really nicely into our topic. So our topic today is building muscle in a deficit. So how to, thoughts process behind. I've got here what data to track, what to be focusing on, and then yeah, we'll go from there. But you lay down your like thoughts, opinions, building muscle in a deficit. Yeah, go.
I think building muscle in deficit, like it's automatically like it can't happen type thing, where people think that, and I'm like, it can. You just can't expect results in like in like a week or 5 weeks or even 8 weeks. That's based on like, and that's like when you look at challenges that are 6 week, 8 week, even 12 week challenges. It's like that's not enough time to record enough data to see like that, because like there's plenty of people, if you stay on track for long enough, you will get the small changes in the right direction both ways in terms of the muscle mass and body fat percentages and stuff. I think people just want too much all in one go. And it's like, you know, if you're going to be, obviously protein intake is important, calories as a whole is important in terms of just getting enough fuel in. But then it also comes down to, like you were saying before, the amount of carbs you're getting in to fuel. Like you need to be able to fuel those training sessions and stuff like that. But and then the intensities in the training too, like, and the type of training. Like if you're trying to build muscle, like if you're in a deficit trying to build muscle, but you're not doing that much strength training and you're like running every day, you're not going to build the muscle because you're not stimulating the muscle to grow. You're just trying to burn fat or burn calories as a whole from the cardio output of running. So there's so many different things, but I think it's like it can be done. You just have to be fuel the right way around training sessions. Make sure you're hitting the right intensities for your strength sessions, rest days, so you actually have time to repair the muscle and let it grow. But also knowing that it's not going to happen overnight, and then like also sticking to a process, right? So like if you've got a coach that gives you X amount of calories and, you know, and your macros, whatever they are, and then you're not tracking them properly, or you're like, oh, I'll go slightly under because like that, you know, because less has to be better, right? If you're trying to do it fast and win a challenge or something. And it's like, yeah, cool. Like, yeah, you will probably drop a bit of weight, but your body fat percentage is probably going to go up or stay closer to the same rather than the numbers were running in the right direction. So I think it's hard in that sense, in this, like from the point of view of like, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to get fitter in like HIIT classes? Because like if you're doing all of that, like as much as they're great for your, you know, cardiovascular health or VO2 max, all of that sort of stuff, general health and fitness, I guess, the specific part of the muscle growth is probably not going to be the same as what you do if you're focusing on a purely strength-based program.
Yeah. I think like a good point to touch on there is the like training intensities and things like that. Like a really applicable thing that I think like has to be discussed when it's like muscle growth in a deficit is like muscle growth is an incredibly slow process. Like
unless you have the monsters.
Unless you're blasting monsters. But it's an incredibly slow process. So trying to pack on like a ton of muscle and lose fat, it's like, okay, we're trying to go in two different directions in terms of like energy balance, although I'll touch on in a second why I think that both are possible at the same time. And then two different directions in terms of, because of the energy balance thing, like ability to put in effort with training with like an excess of calories versus like depleting ourselves, making it really hard to get a good training session in. With muscle growth and muscle in particular, muscles, everyone talks about like maintaining muscle in a deficit, but the thing with muscle is like unless you are training it or stimulating it to go through some kind of muscle protein synthesis, so like new proteins being added to the muscle, it will atrophy and it will get smaller because you're trying to elicit an adaptation to make it bigger than what it is needed to in life. So like your normal day to day, you don't need muscle tissue on your body that much. Like you might need a bit of fucking quad strength and a bit of glute strength to get up the stairs at work, but like that's it. And I think because of that, I was just checking the fucking thing to make sure it was still green, because if it wasn't green, it meant that they were flat, and I was going to get really upset, but they're both still green, so it's all good.
There's one thing that's red.
Yeah, that's the connection thing. That's all sweet.
This is why I know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so muscles are in a constant state of flux of like stimulated and growing or atrophying away. There's no like this muscle cell is staying the same. Muscle maintenance comes from stimulating it enough, but not stimulating it enough to grow. So,
but the reason,
Yep.
I was going to say, the reason you're not stimulating enough to grow is probably because you're in the deficit, right? Like not having the energy
can be, yeah,
to like hit that,
yep,
those intensities.
yeah.
I just want to quickly touch on that, like as your point there with like muscle growth. I don't think people understand that like when you're doing any form of like strength training, like weights training, you're actually tearing the muscle more, right? So you're damaging the muscle. Like from like in the easiest way to explain it to people is like the easiest way to look at it is like you're actually damaging the muscle to force, like you said, to try and to force a change.
Yeah.
So like if you think about it, like, you know, if something breaks, you need extra people to like fix it.
Yeah.
It's like recruiting more to help fix, grow, blah, blah, blah. So like if you don't have that there, then the muscle's not gonna be able to recover quick enough, grow to the rate you want it to grow. Or if you're not stimulating it enough, you're like, cool, we have enough soldiers here. We don't need more soldiers, right? Yeah. And like, I don't think people realize that sometimes. It's like sometimes they think, like you come in and you go through the motions to a point where that's enough. And like I have points of that in my training where like it is enough because it's a secondary movement to the running, right? So it's a bit different. But in terms of just, you know, from a bodybuilding muscle growth perspective, it's like you need to be stimulating those like, and that's why we write like RPEs. Yeah. You need to be hitting those certain numbers or getting as close as you can to that. Yeah. Because if you're not and you're just going through the motions, your body just goes, yeah, cool, like we've got enough. Yeah, like the stimulus, like, oh, it hurt us a little bit, but like we've got enough troops. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So much to look into it, but like that point as well is like you're actually tearing muscle fibers. Yeah. Like, so if you're not recovering either, you're not giving that time to rebuild, I guess.
The way I'd put it is like if you have a bridge, let's say you have a bridge and then over time, no, not even over time. Let's say you have a bridge and then normally 5 cars go across the bridge in an hour. And then suddenly you're pushing 50 cars across that bridge in an hour or 100 cars across that bridge in an hour. There's going to be points where the bridge is stressed. There's going to be like either stress fractures or like just points where like, okay, that is not good. We need to fix that or it's going to break. And so that is what your body's doing. It's used to the 5 cars an hour because like 5 cars an hour is tolerable. By strength training, you're increasing demand against something that hasn't increased its tolerance yet. Therefore, it needs to increase its tolerance to handle the next wave of or bout of strength training. That's the way I think of it. Is like it's reinforcing the thing that way. It's the muscle damage thing. Like it's a good way to think about it on like a base level, 100%. But I think it's not even like muscle damage as such that causes muscle growth. It's actually just stress to the muscle that like creates the demand for the fixing. So
definitely the word, muscle stress.
Yeah, stress. Yeah. So that's one thing, obviously, and then like looking at that, that's when we start to talk about like training frequency and things like that. Like if you're training twice a week and you're trying to build muscle while you're in a deficit and you're only training twice a week and that's it, probably better off training more frequently, just from the aspect of like, because muscles are in a state of either stimulated and growing or atrophying away, more frequent dips up is going to help you stay on top of that as like a growth metric. Now, if the goal wasn't to get like as jacked as possible and just to put on a little bit of muscle, frequency probably isn't that important. Not that important, it's still important, but what I'd argue is more important is just making sure that there is enough stimulus through the week. So that might be 2 days, 3 days, maybe 4 days a week. 4 days a week is probably the upper end. 4 or 5 days a week is like the upper end of where you'd have people, but two days a week is doable. You've just got to really be on top of those RPEs and making sure things are pushed hard to make sure that there is enough stress to sort of like push you into a growth state for long enough to the next session. Cool. That's training, I think, taken care of in terms of things like muscle is stressed to reinforce. That's how it grows. So we need to make sure that we're stressing it enough to continue growing, which again is difficult when we're in too low of a calorie deficit. So getting into the nutrition side of things, like that's where like eat less, move more needs to become like eat as much as we can, moving as much as we can, and still lose weight. That's also might be worth touching on data first to then go back into that. So data points that you should be looking at in your training, apart from obviously weights lifted, to ensure that we're actually progressing in terms of like squat numbers, just numbers across the gym, whether it's reps, sets, or weight. Making sure that there is a progression metric in place so we're watching those numbers climb. That can be a pretty good indication that we're gaining some degree of muscle tissue. The other thing that we'd look at is scale weight. It's not the most reliable indicator, but that combined with the previous is pretty reliable. If weight's going down and strength is climbing pretty rapidly, can be pretty sure we're in a good spot. If weight isn't going down and strength is still climbing pretty rapidly, that's where you probably actually want to adjust to get things going down, unless we're already on low calories and energy is low. That's my take on it. Like, you want to have enough energy to train hard, but still be losing a little bit of weight each week. That's how I see that.
Yeah. In terms of that, like I would say, like, because then people will be like, oh, but if I'm on low calories, like how do I, have the energy, blah, blah, blah. First of all, like you're actually, I know how me and you do it, but like some challenges out there are on crazy low numbers of calories, but like we actually keep ours quite high, and like people, there are phases where sometimes I'll drop it off a little bit just to sort of see what happens, but as a whole, most of my guys are on a fairly decent number. They're not in a massive deficit, so like you should still be able to push relatively well, and also like fueling around those training sessions. So like trying to get protein, carbs in pre and post training is going to help. Like especially while you're in a deficit, getting enough fuel around those areas are going to help the training session, but then help the recovery process as well. So you're sort of like timing your meals the right way around training to, I guess, get the best outcomes. So I was going to go somewhere else with that. I can't remember now. I think it's sort of, it's hard, like with the data point stuff, like I like a big fan of just like photos, how your clothes fit, how you're feeling. Like it's such a broad one, how you're feeling, but like most people know if they're feeling shit or good, right? I personally think there's too much emphasis on data in terms of just like numbers of all these different things. Not too much emphasis. Like it's good to know. Like it's good to know. I guess for us as coaches to then adjust. Like the data points are good. Like, don't get me wrong. I think there's just from someone like reading the data, one, they're not probably 100% sure like what it all means. But also like, I think even just as a whole, like even from that and outside of specifically, I guess, body composition numbers, even just with like, you know, watches, like what do you call them? Heart rate monitors, like all types of different things like that. I think we're like, as much as data's good, it's like we put a lot of emphasis on data that's not 100% accurate. And I think people sometimes get caught up in the numbers of it rather than just like forgetting about that, maybe like blip in the radar, and then letting, like, they're too quick to sort of change as well. Like it's like, oh, that you know, that scan wasn't good, or my weight's fluctuated, so I need to quickly drop calories or whatever. So it's like those numbers play with people, and they're like, I need a quick switch something, and it's like, just wait. You're going to fluctuate as long as over a long, and that's what I was saying before with these challenge, like shorter challenges or shorter time, not even challenges, but like people trying to lose weight real quick or whatever, you're not going to see enough of a data point to see, you know, that muscle going up or the body fat going down, because you might see that and then you try and change something which does that, and then like you're just going to whatever. But if you can find one where like you look at one and it's like, so let's say body fat, and you're on a slow decline, you might have one scan or one weigh in or whatever your metrics are that does like a little blip up here, and it's like, hang on, wait, let's see what this does for a second, and then it trends back down. So over a period of like start to end, you're still getting a trending down. So like I think that some people just sort of like see numbers and they freak out straight away.
I think that like I get the point around like data being too objective now, like, and how people attach their sort of emotions to the data as like an objective fact. Like this means that I am gaining weight. This means that I am like whatever. I think like even there's a relationship between like, this means that I am gaining weight, which means that I am doing something wrong, which means I have to change the plan. And it's like, no, like, okay, we gained weight 3 days in a row, but like, how are we going before that? How compliant are you to the plan still? And like, that's where you have to just ask the question of like, am I sticking to the plan, and is this like a bit of an anomaly in the previous trend? If it's an anomaly in the previous trend, you might want to wait it out and just see what happens. But yeah, so I think like, we might differ a bit on this actually, because I think that the data thing is a good thing. Like I judge most of my coaching decisions off like the data, and then my guys will know like if there's some data there that is a bit shaky or iffy, that's where I'll reach out to them and be like, are you okay? What's going on? how's food? How are you feeling with training? How's all of this stuff? Like, that's where I'll gather the subjective data, because if that indicates that like, okay, we can take a drop here and see what happens, or like, okay, no, this person's on a pretty shaky path right now, we just need to like level them out and then see what happens. That's where I'm sort of more like a personable coach. But like, if they're on point and they're executing, and then it's just like, okay, things are a bit shaky, or like things have come back up, it's like, okay, I have enough data points now to be able to make a bit of a call. And so that's where I'll make the call and be like, cool, this is what we're doing. Stick to the plan, do it. But I think like what you said about the watches and stuff, I do agree. Like the calorie expenditure across the watch, I think, is a virtually useless metric. Watches, my zones, everything like that, it's a virtually useless fucking metric. It's good, don't get me wrong, it's good for like a heart rate monitoring through a session. You can keep an eye on where you're at, because obviously like the higher the heart rate gets in the session and the longer you hold that, the more fatigue you're going to accumulate, the shittier you'll feel next session. Not exactly true, but like very big generalization, yeah. But I think like having a consistent step goal and hitting that consistently as a minimum, and then just being aware of days where maybe we shoot way over it, and it's like we shoot way over the step goal, the next day the weight goes up. People are like, the fuck, I stepped so much yesterday. And it's like, yeah, but your body's going to hold more water now because you're more fatigued. Like, you've actually just generated more demand on the body. And we haven't increased calories yesterday, because like increasing calories according to output is fucking stupid and you shouldn't do it. like according to calories on a day. Like, right, say like people who watch their Apple Watch and it's like, cool, like I burned 2,500 calories today. I can have that extra ice cream at night. And it's like, no, that watch is pretty inaccurate. I'd probably just wait it out until tomorrow and then see what happens. Yeah. So like, for me, it's a big like, let's get as much data as we can, gather as much data as we can, make sure the compliance is like 100% or close to 100, as close to 100% as we can, right? As we're humans. Then from there, it's like if things are a bit weird, then we like, okay, let's coach this human because this is the data's obviously not working and like human stuff is getting in the way. Maybe that's just like my fucking whatever the hell is going on in my head. Yeah.
I'm the same. Like, you said we might differ. We don't, because I 100% like I think the data points are good.
Yeah.
You need the data points, because I can't give you I can't change your, calories, macros, whatever, based on your photos.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I meant by that.
Yeah,
I think it's just like a good metric point for people to think like if they do have a day when they go fuck the scales, blah blah blah, like have a look at your start point to now, like photo comparisons. And the reason I say photos is because like you look in the mirror to yourself, you don't look like you've changed because you see yourself every day. So like it's just that little bit. For me, the photo stuff is just like, oh yeah, cool, I'm on the right track. It's sort of that. It's not a data point. It's I guess that little like, okay, no, we're good.
But I think it still qualifies in my head as a data point of like, that is like a visual metric. Versus and like, I think there's a difference between obsessing over like a data point and then a data trend. So like, fair enough if like we've been going down and then it's like, okay, we're 2 weeks into going up suddenly. That's where it's like, okay, it's fair enough that you're obsessing over that, right? But yeah, like my guys will know, especially with that, I fucking agree 100%. Like comparing old photos is like the best way to like, okay, sweet, level everyone out in terms of like, cool, we are on the right path. My guys will know, like I have a sheet, because I use Google Sheets for like all my nutrition side of things. I'm a bit of a fucking spreadsheet nerd when it comes to that, but I have a sheet that is specifically dedicated to progress photos, and I have it so it's frozen from one column, like the column 1 of the photos, and then like you can scroll through and compare photos. So it's like weeks 1, 2, 3 for most people, like that are starting out, let's say in a fat loss phase, like they're not going to look that different. Week 1 to 8 looks pretty significantly different, but then week 1 to 12 looks like 2 different humans. Like, that's the other thing is like starting out, progress accelerates the leaner you get. Because like, if you look at somebody, even obviously I'm going to bring it back to a bodybuilding context. If you watch somebody who's at a relatively low body fat percentage at say 6 weeks out from a bodybuilding competition, and then you compare photos of that 6 weeks out body composition to 1 week out or a day out from competition, they look like they look like a fucking Martian in the second one, just because like it's not that big of a difference in body composition, like in terms of percentage, but they're almost inside out now, whereas before they had a layer that was covering some of the things. So it's like the smaller increments get way bigger in terms of visual metric as we go on through a fat loss phase. Yeah, that's my like take on the data point is like, data's good. We just need to make sure that we're actually measuring data as a trend and not data as like one point in time. Like, yeah.
100%. I agree with that. Like, you need to, by not obsessing over stuff. So we meant like that single data point rather than seeing what the trend is actually doing. It's been good, man, because like I haven't even had to say that to some people. Some people have gone like for example, they're like, oh, I haven't changed much from last scan, but I'm still up or down in the right way from the first scan. And I'm like, sweet. So you guys got it. You got it. You're like, you're looking at it the right way. And like a lot of them also are like, I understand that this is not just 8 weeks. It's like, I'm learning everything now and I'm starting, it's sort of that like, I'm starting to like build those habits and that routine so that after the 8 weeks, and that's what we want to build, right? Because the bad thing about most challenges like worldwide is people aren't bad at losing weight. They're bad at keeping it off. Like you can't, like everyone can lose weight. it happens all the time. Like, that's not the hard bit. The hard bit is challenge is done. What's next? Like, and the percent, I don't know, some crazy stat, like percentage wise of people that put it back on, it's like 90 something %. Because people are just like 8 weeks dialed in, blah, blah. And then they just like, either they don't get taught things properly or they go so hard for 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever that they're like, fuck this. And it's all about like learning to gradually make those changes. Because then, you know, they look at people that are like, I won't say like me or you, but like people that are in long-term health. They're like, oh, like, you know, what, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, consistency over a long period of time is the way that we've all got to this point. But yeah, like I think back on the data thing, I agree. I think data is good because even if it is slightly off, it's still a constant variable. So you're still being able to, as long as people are doing it correctly. So like someone's like, oh, you know, wasn't happy with my scan, but I like ate more food this morning or ate before the scan, like, and I did the scan in the afternoon and all the other scans I've done were in the morning. It's like, okay, cool. Oh, I did the scan in the morning, haven't eaten anything, which is the same as every other scan, but I had a massive bender on the weekend. So it's like, that's when I'm like, okay, cool. Like if you give me those type of variables, then I'm like, yeah, no wonder there's a blip in this fucking data. But like, and that's what people need to sort of people do realize that, but like it's one of those things where it's like, and like from another point of view too, like for females, it's like, cool, where are you at in your cycle? Because that's going to make a difference whether you hold more water, you retain whatever, like that's going to make a difference. And the scanners don't always pick up on that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think we're probably going around a little bit in this topic, but like I get why people obsess over numbers, but sometimes it's like, just give it a second. Like, you know, if it is trending up too much over a long period of time, then we need to change something. And but I'm the same. Like I use that, all the data to like adjust. And like the one that I find funny is like when people see good results and then they're like, cool, like are we going to go harder? And I'm like, no, if we go harder, there's a chance to reverse what we've done based on like, this is working. Let's just chip away at this, because over time that's going to like, it might not work forever, but while it's working, let's just keep working. Right. So I just think like data points are good. I just think people need to chill out. I think with the watches and stuff, like, and the heart rates and stuff, again, like I think the same thing, like calorie wise, they are way off. But again, like constant variable, right? If they're way off all the time, then you can use that as a measurable thing, as long as you don't go, oh sweet, I burnt 800 calories in this workout, I've got an extra 800 calories to eat. Like that's not how it works. Or it's not how it should work, because that's not always that accurate. And the other thing as well, like if someone comes to me and they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on with my scan, or I don't know what, like my weight's increased on the scales or whatever. It's like, cool, let's look at like, let's have a look back at your tracking. And it's like, they were under or over or not tracking properly at all. And it's like, okay, well, like there needs to be a point where you go like, we need a little bit more consistency for me to find a trend. Because if that's not consistent, 100%. I can't see the data points. Oh, sorry, it's not an accurate data point for me to sort of like gauge off. So yeah, like that's important. And it's like, we're not just giving you numbers to hit for the sake of it. Like, you know, when you start, like there is an element of guesstimation, because it has to be. Because, you know, if we have the same energy expenditure based on what the scan says, we're the same weight, we're the same age, everything, whatever, we can still gain muscle, lose fat, whatever, on different calories and at different rates. So that's where the data points are good from an individual point of view. But if we get put on the same thing and you're getting results and I'm not, but I'm not hitting my targets and you are, like there's still the element of what works for you, what doesn't necessarily work for me, but I'm not even letting that data tell me that it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like all of those things, like we're not just giving you numbers for the sake of it. Like we need you guys to hit numbers, not only for you to get results, but even if they're not the results you want, it's extra data for us to then change moving forward. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover, eh? Yeah. And then, obviously, like, I guess we could briefly circle back to the carbs around training. You spoke about it already, like fueling training sessions. Yeah. The reason we do that also, so obviously from an energy expenditure perspective, we need more energy to output more energy. And carbs can help with that in terms of just feeling better and ability to train. But carbs are also technically protein sparing. They're protein sparing in the way that when you take protein in, you actually, if you're eating protein and you're trying to stimulate muscle growth, but then your energy in is much lower than your energy out, it will convert protein into carbohydrates, essentially. So by having carbohydrates present in the diet, especially around training when muscle protein synthesis is going to be stimulated and insulin sensitivity is going to be higher, that's going to give your body the biggest opportunity to use that as the primary source and not convert the protein that we need to build muscle into glucose, glycogen, all that stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, eat carbs around training because you actually utilize your protein for what you want to utilize your protein for. That's pretty much it. That's literally it. That's literally it. Last little thing we wanted to touch on is, maybe we'll save that for another episode, the healthy question. That's a pretty deep dive.
Yeah, we can definitely dive deep in that, another one. I will add on to just like what we were saying about like, as a whole, like not scans and whatever, but like in terms of watches, heart rate monitors, just a little side tangent, like do you think the fitness industry as a whole relies too much on that stuff? Like in terms of like, my little example here would be like they're great to measure. Like if I'm going for a run, obviously I'm going to measure the distance, I'm going to measure time. Like that's a little bit different. But like you hear about people with these like this with their sleep and stuff, right? And records your sleep percentage, or like if it was a good or a bad sleep, or however it records it. And like you hear so many stories about people that wake up and they're like, fuck yeah, I had a mad sleep. I feel good, ready to train hard, whatever. And then they look at their data point and it tells them that they've had a shit sleep, or they're not at a recovery point, or they're not at the recovery point they think they are. Yeah. And like you see some people, they hear stories about people's mindset, automatically think they're not recovered. So it's like you could wake up feeling like, fuck yeah, where's this training session? Let's go. Yeah. And then you look at the data point and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not recovered, and it kind of throws people out. Like where's your viewpoint on that type of stuff?
Yeah, that would come under like, for me, that would come under stuff that's not easily trackable, and honestly, like some of the metrics they throw out and spit at you for sleep particularly is like, how the fuck have they got that number? Like they've got that number based off a heart rate, which is somewhat connected to brain function, obviously, but like there's not a huge difference between fucking REM sleep and light sleep in heart rate. So, like the definition of REM sleep, rapid eye movement. So it's like they're not measuring your eye movement in a watch. Like it's on your wrist, man. That's my, like, sleep is one where when I get guys to track it, it's like, okay, what time did you get in bed and what time did you get up from bed? Yeah. And like, was it a 1 out of 10 sleep or was it a 10 out of 10 sleep? Like, were you out all night or did you get up 5 times to piss? Like, that's sort of the metrics I give. It's just a subjective 1 out of 10 and then like an objective, how many hours were we actually out or down? That's what I'd say is like, I will take stock of my sleep because sometimes I'm bad at like, I got in bed at 9, but I got off my phone at 10:30 because I was replying to clients because I'm a fucking idiot. And then it's like, I record that as 8 hours sleep. And it's like, no, it was 7.5 hours before I put my phone down. Probably half an hour after that of trying to like turn my brain off to not reply to the fucking next client's message. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, be more subjective with some stuff like that you don't have like huge kit to actually work out. And then but I think steps are great to track with that. Obviously, the distance thing is a massive play. I think they're much more beneficial to the industry than they are detrimental. People just need to be aware of those little things of like, don't worry about that so much, don't worry about that so much, don't worry about that so much. Definitely worry about that.
Like I literally, like I simplified mine so much when I bought it, like, because obviously you can go on and like what you do and don't. Like I've got a heart rate thing there. I've got literally like the battery percentage is like one of my main things. So I have like obviously times in the middle, and then I've got like 4 metrics on the outside, and I've got heart rate, battery. I do have calories, but that's just like, so I've got a bit of an idea, and steps. Yeah. And I'm like, but my calories like barely change. Actually, they will change depending on the steps though. Yeah. The steps is the main mover. Like that one I focus on a lot more. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't have calories on there. I just haven't changed it for the 4 years I've had this watch. And like I record my workouts, but it's more just, for me, it's more a timer thing. So I actually have my timer being like, I know how long I was training, how long the rest was between. So I like know when to go again on sets and stuff. So that's more of my metric point. It's not actually to look at the calories while that's on. But yeah, I find it interesting because mine does come up sometimes with like, when I end the workout, it's like, it calculates a fatigue level based on heart rate. And then tells me how much rest I need to like be fully recovered. And it's like fully recovered in 12 hours or fully recovered, ready to train again in 6 hours or whatever it is. But it's so funny because it's like, after a HIIT workout, it's like recover for like a day or fucking 36 hours or some shit. And it's like, but then like after a heavy gym, like I say gym, you know what I mean? Every lifting session or something, like it doesn't, like it actually doesn't even come up. Like 9 times out of 10 when I click off it, it doesn't even give me a time frame to recover from. And it's like, because it's based on heart rate. So, but that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't focus on the actual exertion point of the session. So I find that all interesting. But I do agree. I think as a whole they are good because it gives people, again, those little data points. But some points people just need to understand that they're not fully accurate, and at least still use them, but understand that like don't take it as gospel. Every single thing it says, especially when it comes to like that recovery thing. And if it's like you are fully recovered but you feel like shit, maybe recover a bit longer. Or the opposite, if it's like if you feel fucking great and it's like you're not recovered for another 2 days, like don't rest for 2 days. Like you feel good, go. Like, so those type of things, I'm like, use a little bit of common sense to be of your own body's feeling. And again, with the sleep thing, right? It's like mad. Like my sleep felt good. I feel good in the morning when I wake up. Let's go. Yeah.
I'm like, yours is actually like a much simpler process than fucking 60% of people that wear watches.
What do you mean?
In terms of like what you're tracking, like you're looking at it, but you're not like tracking it hard.
Like, if I go through it, it's got like last 4 hours heart rate. It's got obviously stopwatch. Why is that still going? Training status. It'll have like whatever. But so it's got little metrics, but I've simplified it. Like,
and then like I'm over here like full Amish mode when it comes to that shit. Like I've got a $60 Fitbit that records my heart rate, the time, steps. It has a shitty calorie counter, and then that might literally be it. And because it's Fitbit, it integrates with an app in my phone. So like I went through a stint where I was just like checking just to see what it was, like my heart rate variability in the mornings, because it can be a sign of like recovery. Because they give you a recovery score, but I don't believe in it. So I check the actual metric that is probably more correlated to that, and like sure enough, my like heart rate variability was like massively climbing climbing or decreasing. I don't know. I'll have a look at the graph after this, but the change was like pretty noticeable training days, and then like rest day, training days, rest day, training days, rest day, and it's like training day 1 is up, training day 2 it's up even higher, training day 3 it's fucking through the roof, and then it's like after the rest day I'm fine. It's like okay, cool, I'm taking the rest at the right time, like, and then I stopped looking at that, stopped giving a fuck about it. It's probably
because your body then got like you probably stopped looking at it because you're like, I know what I'm doing now. Like you had the data for long enough to be like, yep, if this still feels the same, then I know I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. And that's like, I think with time, so people who are starting out like that, people who are starting out, that's the most likely going to be the people who are like, I want to gain muscle and lose fat.
See, I look
if
at
you're,
sorry, those metrics, what you just said about how you were tracking and now you're not. Like I'm very similar myself with calories and tracking all that. Again, if I needed to, well, look, at the end of the day, like if I wanted to be like, I probably should, like from an athletic point of view, but from a mental health point of view, I don't, because I've been caught in that before where I was just like, it was not a good time for me or my family because I tracked everything to the absolute T and it like ruined, if anything, it actually probably made it worse, right, than not tracking. So now like I kind of have that, I know what I eat pretty much the same shit. I can look at a bowl or a plate and get within close enough of knowing what I'm hitting. And like, for me at the moment, that's enough because it's less stress on my head. And it's like one of those things where like, I know I've done that for long enough. And this is like, we say to the guys, like, we want you to track. And like, you guys hearing me like, you don't track? And I'm like, yeah, but I did it for long enough that I know now. At least within a span of whatever. Like, I'm not fully blown out on calories because I get it. Like, I know when I look. And